Over at Krupp tonight for Mays versus Lake County. I'll be having a live interview with Cedric Miller. He's always a good guy to talk to on Act 5 and 6. That is not the only football going down tonight, though. Over at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, those Memphis Tigers looking for a big-time bounce back, because we can play the video, unfortunately, but last Saturday, just really tough situation in a game. We knew they had to have every game in conference play from here on out, but they go to UTSA. They're up 24-14. Demir Blankenship gets hurt celebrating a touchdown, trying to do some sort of Cristiano Ronaldo touchdown, and then it all falls apart for the Tigers. Roadrunners score 27 unanswered points at one juncture. Tigers make a little comeback late. Couldn't complete it, though, as they lost 44-36, and with it, their conference championship hopes are all but over, barring a miracle. Their college football playoff hopes are gone. We knew that minimal, they could only lose one game and win the conference championship for that to be a reality. So that's gone now. They host a Rice team tonight that, man, what makes the Tigers losing last week even more painful is that Rice knocked off Navy, one of those teams ahead of the Tigers in conference play and in the college football playoff pecking order going into last week. So, you can't take Rice lightly. I know Rice is not exactly the most prestigious athletic school in this conference, but they beat a really good team last week, and Navy held them to 10 points. So maybe that says a little something about Navy, but the midshipmen have played good ball all year. So the Tigers are 7-point favorites tonight. I expect them. I do think the character of the team and some of the leadership, I don't think they're going to lay over. I think they're going to come out with a point to prove tonight. I also know that last year, when they ended up winning 10 games after the bowl win, it might seem insignificant, but I know that the 10-win mark did mean something to those guys. So that is still on the table. I think they could win 11 games if they win out in the regular season and win the bowl game. But, yeah, it's just tough to think that, this season that had all this hype and the expectations going into it, you look at it and before Election Day, that was all out the window. So it's kind of tough.
Yeah, it's kind of a culmination of all the things that we've been talking about all year, all these close games. You kind of feel like they've got to put this all together, and it finally came back to bite them this week. But yeah, I mean, Rice, you look at their record, only 3-6, but again, they defeated Navy, who
beat Memphis.
Who beat Memphis and has really looked really good all year.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's not going to be easy.
It's like we've talked about, the message coming out of the program, and I get it, is they'll take the close wins, and at the end of the day, the victory is all that matters. But this is where the process of how you get there and the eye tests and kind of some of the underlying stuff, it does matter, because eventually when you call it what it is, lesser teams, certainly on talent, hang around week after week, eventually it bites you. And it bit them last week. And UTSA, I'm not saying that it's a team that doesn't have any talented players, but clearly I think you look at the two teams on paper, Memphis roster is a lot more talented. And now, again, the game changed when Demir Blankenship hurt his knee on the touchdown celebration, which is going to go down as another low-key, just kind of infamous, silly Memphis sports moment, especially because he was having a huge game. I mean, at that point, early second quarter, I think he had 6 catches, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns, and with the way that he threatens a defense with his speed and the way he can take the top off on any given play, I think it certainly changed the game. But again, I don't think that the offense should completely fall apart just based off that, because they got nothing going for like 7 drives after that until the end of the game when they were down 3 possessions and UTSA is playing, soft coverages and kind of giving them some underneath stuff. And excuse me, I think the most bitter pill to swallow and the toughest reality of the situation is, if not this year, when?
Right.
Because any way you slice it, unless you hit on a miracle in the portal, not out of the question with the FedEx money, with the NIL money they now have, or if Arrington Maiden, who's a freshman right now, or Antoine Hill, their 4-star commit from the Warner Robins, Georgia area, who's going to come in next year. Unless one of them pulls essentially a Seth Hennigan and just walks into the starting job and is just ready to play and have them be competitive right away, you're almost certainly downgrading at quarterback next year, and probably relatively significantly. I know, Seth is not immune from criticism either. I don't think he's played his best ball this year. I look back to like the last 7 games of last season. I think that's the best quarterbacking I've seen him play since I've been covering the team at least. I've covered him since his sophomore year. So that hasn't really carried over this year. But still, you go to either, essentially a redshirt freshman or a true freshman, or you gamble in the portal that you land someone if you bring back a bunch of these guys that still have eligibility rating. But other than that, I just, everything was set up for this year. You brought back the 4-year starting quarterback, same head coach, same offense coordinator, defense coordinator that put on a great performance in the bowl game win last year. Great trio of receivers at the top: Rock Taylor, Demir Blankowski, Kobe Drake. You lose Blake Watson, who was your best offensive player last year, but you bring in Mario Anderson, leading rusher at an SEC school last season. He's been probably better than expected, and there were high hopes for him. Mario's been awesome. Bring back a lot of talent on the defense side of the ball, and you look at it, and it's not going to happen. And it's just a tough pill to swallow, because you look at it and say, when will it happen? When can it happen again? So,
and moving forward, the 12-team playoff does give you more hope than you would have previously. But there is something to that, striking while you can, because you never know what next year's going to bring. And you look no further than Florida State and what's happened to them this year. Last year, everyone felt like they were snubbed out of the playoff spot, undefeated season, and they come out this year with a lot of the same team, same head coach, and they just look horrible.
Yeah.
So, when you've got the talent, you really can't just sit around and go, well, we'll get them next year. You've got to strike a while.
Pretty significant downgrade, Jordan Travis to DJU, but Florida State's problems do go well beyond the quarterback situation. I also think that we might have to face the reality that, the Tigers this year might have been a touch overrated off winning the bowl game over Iowa State at the end of last season. Because remember, before that, they had won 9 games in the regular season, but the tenor around the program going into the bowl game wasn't all that great. But then they win the bowl game, and then you think, and it comes to fruition, you're bringing back all these guys. They've got a good NIL chamber to kind of pull money from. You're like, okay, maybe this is it. And even the Florida State win. How good of a win is that now? Because they stink.
It's really not.
They stink. I don't care what that program's done in the past. I don't care what conference they play in. I don't care about
1-7 now.
Florida I think State, so. And they've gotten run off the field a bunch of times. I mean, they are real. I mean, we're talking one of the worst teams in the Power 4 conferences.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I haven't looked up and down those standings, but
I know Purdue, I think, is like 1-7 also.
Let's give a quick glance. Okay. Yeah, okay. So
They're
Cal is. But even Cal so
Cal beat Auburn, right?
Yeah, Cal's 4-4. I mean, they're 0-4.
Which Auburn's not great, but.
Like, you're talking Stanford, Cal, even I think Oklahoma State's probably better than. Yeah, I mean, this is one of the. Yeah, Purdue is probably up there. Purdue is also 1-7. And I can't imagine there's anyone in the SEC that's worse than Florida State.
I know there's a certain team in the SEC that's got 2 wins.
Mississippi State, but again, they're playing a true freshman quarterback, and they've got a first-year head coach. So, no, I mean, you're looking at FSU being probably one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in Power 4 conferences. So, yeah, the win doesn't look that great. Okay, let's talk about, so first and foremost, Memphis versus Rice tonight. 8 p.m. kick at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, which is a little silly. It seems late. I hope people show up with all the high school football tonight. I'm curious what the crowd looks like, but we'll see. And hopefully
not
the Tigers,
perfect weather either.
Yeah.
But
hopefully the Tigers get back on track and score win number 8 tonight. All right. The biggest game of the weekend around here, biggest game in the Mid-South this season, going down in Oxford tomorrow. Ole Miss playing host to Georgia. This game is going to make or break the Rebel season. Probably without question the biggest game of Lane Kiffin's tenure. Now, Ole Miss is coming in off a high, off beating Arkansas a couple weeks ago in a game. Yeah, I mean, just
Dominated.
destroyed them. If you want to roll that video real quick. Jackson Dart and Jordan Watkins just putting up video game numbers in that game. Dart breaks Archie Manning's record for total offense in a game by an Ole Miss player, and a big part of it was Jordan Watkins. 8 catches, 254 yards. That's a program record. 5 touchdown catches, also a program record. In a game where the Rebels did not have Trey Harris, their number 1 receiver, but Jordan Watkins just tore this Razorback secondary to shreds. If you play college football, fantasy football, and had Jordan Watkins on your team, you had a really, really good week. Good couple of games for them, really, because the week before they beat Oklahoma at home. Wasn't a dominant performance, but they played well in the second half. Absolutely throttled the Razorbacks, their best performance of the season. So now they're riding a high going into this game tomorrow against the number 3 team in the country in Georgia. Weather is supposed to be really bad down there from everything that we've heard from our trusted meteorologists here at Action News 5. But yeah, I mean, this is a game that is going to define their season. And right or wrong, I think the narrative around Lane Kiffin for a lot of his tenure in his career, and certainly here at Ole Miss, is that he has struggled to win the most important and the biggest games.
Yeah.
So can he upend that tomorrow? I think Georgia is really good, but I think that if you were going to face Georgia the last couple of years, this is the Georgia team you want to face, because I'm not a big Carson Beck believer. I think it's pretty reasonable to say Ole Miss has the best quarterback in this game.
I would say so. They really did exactly what they needed last week. They needed something to feel good about. They needed to basically show no mercy to Arkansas.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people chatting about Lane Kiffin running the score up, but I mean,
who cares?
You had to do that because you have to get the guys rolling heading into Georgia, because we saw early in the year they lost to a Kentucky team that's not on their level.
Yeah.
And you have to bring your absolute best against Georgia, because even in Georgia's 1 loss to Alabama this year, they looked incredible in the second half.
Yeah.
So they haven't really played a poor game all year. And you really have to play your absolute best.
Well, and
Georgia.
to anyone complain about them running up the score, we don't know how the selection committee is going to approach this new format, but I imagine point differential is something they're going to look at. So running that point differential up is probably relatively important. Bulldogs beat Florida last week in their annual rivalry game. That was an interesting game. Georgia got pulled away at the end to win at 34-20, but UF, with their third-string quarterback, because DJ Lagway, their starter, got hurt early in the game, they went around a pretty good amount. I do think that Georgia probably has the best win of the college football season going into Austin and beating the Longhorns. So
I agree to that.
They've won 4 in a row. But again, this hasn't looked like some of the ultra-dominant Georgia teams that we saw when they won back-to-back national championships, even last year. I'm not sure I'm going to say they were the best team last year, but I think if they would have gotten the playoff, they literally lost the one game they could not lose to Alabama in the SEC championship game. I think if they would have gotten the playoffs, there's a pretty good chance they would have won it all.
I think they could have beaten any of the teams that made it above them.
Yeah, they lost the one game they could not lose last year. But, yeah, I think that you're at home, you're at Vaught-Hemingway, that place is going to be rocking tomorrow. Hopefully Trey Harris plays. Did you see their injury report?
I haven't.
Lane Kiffin is trolling the hell out of the SEC. There's like 29 players on the injury report. And some of them are listed as doubtful, which, I mean, if I'm wrong, I'll eat my words. Like Jordan Watkins, for example, left that game, or who had that monster game last week and had no ill effects. Apparently he's doubtful in the injury report. So I guess we'll find out if this is Lane being a troll or not.
Yeah, if it's legit, that's
because Trey Harris is also doubtful. No,
Trey
Harris might be in danger of missing the game. I'm glad that we have injury reports, because with all the money in college athletics on multiple fronts, it makes too much sense, and it's only in the SEC, I believe. But in the NFL, you get injury reports every day of practice throughout a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It'd be nice if you get that in the SEC versus you just get one on a Wednesday. So I'm sure all of these guys, or not all of these guys, but a lot of these guys are magically going to get better by the time Kickoff rolls around tomorrow at 2:30. Griffin Demaray will be at that game. Ole Miss's finest alum here at Action 5. I think one of the only Ole Miss alum. We got way more Mississippi State Bulldogs in this building. Speaking of them, another all Mid-South matchup. They go to Knoxville, marching to Neyland to take on Tennessee. General thoughts as a Bulldog alum?
Scared.
There's nothing to be scared of.
I said last week how bad UMass is as a program.
Yeah.
That game didn't end up being close, but they didn't necessarily dominate that game.
Yeah.
So I don't really know that there's a lot that you can take out of that win. It did end the losing streak, which feels a little good, but yeah.
What an end to the season.
I don't think they have any realistic chance at Tennessee on the road. The defense is still a big mess, and they didn't really do a great job of stopping UMass, who I don't imagine has a powerhouse offense. So I imagine Tennessee is probably going to put up a lot of points tomorrow. And as we've seen all year, the Mississippi State offense is better. They look pretty solid with Van Buren at quarterback, but they're going to have to put up like 50-plus points to have a shot tomorrow.
You know what's interesting about Tennessee, though? They started the season, they scored 69 on Chattanooga, they scored 51 on NC State, 71 on Kent State, but since then they have not scored more than 28 points, which is against Kentucky last week. So,
yeah,
we've seen that offense kind of come back to earth a little bit. Nico hasn't played as well. Really, Dylan Sampson has been the one that's been the engine of that offense. But yeah, you look over. I remember I looked over at the Mississippi State UMass score early last week, and I'm like,
yeah,
what's going on here? And it didn't end up being that close.
It was a little ugly in the first half, I guess. But
all right, that is a 6 p.m. kick from Knoxville tomorrow, and then Arkansas is on a bye.
Much needed bye.
Yeah, after last week, for sure. All right, let's talk basketball. And I'm going to switch the order here. We're going to talk Grizzlies first. Because the other night, the game and the matchup that kind of dominated the NBA world for the last 24 hours on social media channels and talk and whatnot, Grizzlies beat the Lakers 131-114. That is not what got people talking. Please roll this video, if you will, because the two headliners, Ja Morant and LeBron James, went at it. All right, starts here. This is the late second quarter. Ja and one bucket on Gabe Vincent tells him you're too small afterwards. Okay? Next possession down. LeBron gets matched up with Ja, and obviously Ja is too small for LeBron. Probably a charge there, nothing close to it. LeBron says, you're too small. So then I believe this was the possession after that. LeBron to the cup, tough finish, steps over Brandon Clark. Ja gets the ball, races up the floor. He's going at Gabe Vincent again. He likes that matchup. Tough banker off glass, and then runs over to LeBron and says, what's up? And he got called for a technical foul for that. And really fast forward came along. It was an awesome moment, to be honest, and it kind of fits into the we don't duck the smoke moment. Now, Ja had a lot to say about that moment and about the Lakers in general, if we will roll that video, because it was gold.
I think I did it too small to somebody who was too small. I mean, he came back and did it respectfully. You know, he's 6'8", whatever. I would expect it. I thought it was a charge. He did it, and I don't back down from nobody. Don't care who you are. My job was to just come back. I got my bucket, and I set the tone. My teammates fed off of it, and you see what happened. So, top dog in our league. You take out the top dog. Who else you fear?
You get up at.
I don't fear nobody anyway, but yeah, I ain't had to. I ain't had to get up. I ain't been down.
John, what was it like obviously when you went out of the game, it was frustrating, but to see the team take that lead even higher?
I wasn't surprised. When I went out, I just wanted to be on the floor. I knew we was winning the game.
What is it about this Laker team? It always...
I don't like them. They knocked me out the playoffs. And then last year, we had a game, and they came in here and popped it on our home floor when I was in street clothes. So I wasn't a night. I told them that last time, too.
Has tonight been building since you told LeBron last time, wait till I suit up?
You said what?
Has tonight kind of been building like...
Nah. He was just next on the schedule. Lakers, actually. No, I won't even say him, Lakers. And then, they beat us last time. I didn't get to play like I said last year. They came on our home floor, beat us on our home floor, was laughing, playing, looking at me, talking. My message was I was in street clothes. This was my first opportunity getting back on the floor playing against them. I bring first, whoever. Then the situation happened, which pretty much got me going.
Tell us how you really feel. Tell us how you really feel. I'm sitting there. I was at his locker. I was recording, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, this is gold. This is awesome. And I think it is awesome. People are going to criticize Ja for not being humble and this, that. This sport has never been about humility. This sport has been always about, I got more game than you. I'm going to talk trash. I'm going to let you know it. I'm not saying Ja Morant is LeBron James. I am certainly saying Ja Morant has proven to be a good enough player that he should not back down from LeBron James. And, listen, we didn't play the clip, but we talked to Jaren Jackson Jr. in the locker room after that. And I asked Jaren, I said, Ja said he doesn't like them. Do you view this as a rivalry? And Jaren said, yeah, whenever you lose to someone in the playoffs, his quote was, it's forever beef. So
I like that.
Yeah, they don't like them. They knocked them out of the playoffs a couple years ago. They clearly did not like LeBron and whoever else. Ja said there were a bunch of them talking in that game. That was the final weekend of the regular season last year when the Grizzlies were playing. I mean, just guys you never heard of before. Just every night was a game of basketball immaculate grid of like, oh, who are you?
Yeah.
And, the Lakers made the playoffs, and they needed to win that game for seeding and whatnot. So, obviously, there was a moment where Ja and LeBron kind of come face to face, and Ja tells him, wait until I suit up. And, I asked Ja, I said, has that been building? And Ja said, nah, they were next on the schedule. But then Ja went on for like another 25 seconds about how it's definitely been building since that time last year because they were talking trash, and he couldn't do anything about it. So I think it's great. And I've seen a couple people point it out. I got no problem with players in the modern NBA being cool with each other for the most part. I kind of like a little rivalry. And I don't think it's personal between Ja and LeBron because Ja has given LeBron his flowers time and time again when the opportunity is called for it. But, yeah, I don't mind the competitive juices firing like that and saying, I don't like those guys. And I've been waiting for this. And they popped it on our home floor last year. Well, I wasn't playing, so now I told them that. I love everything about it. And Ja obviously has, some people don't like Ja because of some of the off-court stuff that at a certain point, I think the shelf life on that needs to run out. We need to move on. But some people won't like it because they don't like Ja, but I loved all of it.
I think, I don't think there's a player in the league that doesn't respect and revere LeBron James anyway.
Of course not. Yeah, they all do.
And the great thing about the NBA is, like you said, when you get a playoff series like that, especially when they go 6-7 games, you really get intense rivalries because you're playing these same teams over and over again. And being in the West, they see each other every year a few times. I don't know. It's what makes the sport great. I don't think there's a level of disrespect to it. It's like just trying to show, hey, no, I'm actually better than you. Because if you don't think you're better than everyone else, nobody else is going to believe it. So I think the Grizzlies are still in a point where they're trying to prove themselves.
Yep.
And Ja's really got to be that leader that drives that. And for him to go, no, we're better than you, we can beat you, and then run them off the floor anyway. That's what gets a team going, and that's kind of what you need to get through a whole season because you can get stagnant in the long 82-game season. You got to get some juice, get yourself up for these games, and I love it. I think that energy is exactly what they need.
People forget too. The last game of that playoff series a couple years ago, I mean, the Lakers embarrassed the Grizzlies by 40 and set them home for the summer. And remember, Anthony Davis had the alley-oop dunk over Jaren. Jaren went crash to the floor. And then early last season, when Ja was suspended and Grizzlies were dealing with a bunch of injuries, Lakers destroyed them in LA again. Anthony Davis said after the game, he was on the Lakers postgame show, and he was asked, basically, when's the last time you had a game that easy? And he said, the last time we played these guys. So trash talk's gone back and forth. Obviously, Anthony Davis didn't play in this game, but Yeah, I think the Grizzlies would not mind a rematch against the Lakers in the playoffs. I'm sure, the Warriors are off to a really good start this year. I'm sure they wouldn't mind seeing them again. And it must be said, too, that moment where Ja gets teed up and FedEx Forum comes to life, after that, the Grizzlies kind of put the game away. And everyone I talked to in the locker room said, yeah, that moment kind of, I don't know if galvanized them is the right word, but like the juice from the crowd helped carry them in the third quarter when they put the game out of reach, essentially. So, yeah, man, it was fun. Like that, and to be honest, for how monotonous at times regular season NBA games can get, to have that in a regular season game in the first week of November is awesome for the league.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
I do think as well, one other thing I want to bring up on this before we talk about the Grizzlies tonight, just at large. As a Timberwolves fan, but you've seen how Anthony Edwards has become a media darling of sorts, even if Anthony Edwards ain't always the most humble guy in the world. I was curious, if this was Anthony Edwards saying that, I think the reaction would be a little different, no?
I don't think there would have been any backlash,
Yes, right.
honestly. I mean, certain players have certain reputations. Obviously, Ja's reputation, is a work in progress. But, yeah, a guy like Anthony Edwards. But also the NBA landscape at whole is going to try to draw up these rivalries anyway. We saw it last year with Anthony Edwards and Kyrie Irving. A little soundbite turned into this whole thing of he's dissing
Anthony
Kyrie
Edwards and Kevin Durant, who was his favorite player, he said.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, again, the playoff energy in the NBA is just so great, and this kind of felt like a playoff game just because of the crowd, the atmosphere, two teams that don't like each other, and the trash talk goes both ways.
Yeah,
LeBron
100%.
trash talks guys. It's
100%.
Everyone does it. He doesn't go and speak about it to the media afterwards all the time, but one of like the quietest like NBA stars in recent memory, like the guy that was never said anything to the media, Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
If you hear the stories about like, I think LaMarcus Aldridge has a really good story about when he was a rookie and Tim Duncan was just baiting him the whole game, just calling him trash. Like, guys do that. Everyone does it. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and then you've got guys like Kevin Garnett, who Steven Adams told the story about.
Well,
First time he faced him, he was like, "No English, bro," which is hilarious. So, yeah, I think it was awesome.
Garnett could get it.
Garnett could talk some trash for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we want to talk Grizz? Hopefully they don't play the Nets in the NBA Finals.
I can't imagine that. I've got the upcoming schedule here.
Yeah, please do.
Take a gander at it. So we got Washington tonight. Then they travel to Portland. And then we get right back into the Lakers on their floor.
We get two rivalries in 3 nights.
Yeah. And then Golden State and Denver. So we're not looking at an easy stretch of the schedule. You want to get Washington and Portland out of the way. Handle your business there before you get a pretty tough 3-game stretch.
Yeah, Ja not playing tonight. He left that game. He took a hard fall on an alley-oop attempt that wasn't called a foul somehow. They called it right hamstring. They called it a right hamstring injury during the game, and then the injury report came out yesterday. It is apparently right hip soreness, which I think you'd rather have hip soreness than a hamstring injury. So he will not play tonight. I would imagine with the Trailblazers up next, with all due respect to the Portland Trailblazers, I would not be surprised if he didn't play in that game either, if the Grizzlies tried to pick up 2 wins without him against two, let's call it what it is, 2 of the worst teams in the league.
Interestingly enough, sorry to interrupt you,
Good.
the Wizards have 2 wins on the seasons, and they both came against the Hawks.
Interesting.
So
they're
Wizards 2-4.
A Wizards-Hawks Eastern Conference Finals would be skewed heavily towards the Wizards.
Portland is 3-6 on the year. And
Portland's weird.
they
I kind of
play
like.
Minnesota
I like some of
tonight.
Portland's young players, but
I do. I don't think they're really
they're not
close
trying
to being
compete this year.
competitive
Yeah.
at this point. But yeah,
that Lakers rematch next Wednesday is going to be awesome. I believe that might be an ESPN game. I got to double check on that.
it should be.
I know it's a 9 o'clock start. 9 o'clock Central start from LA.
And the Lakers are on ESPN about every other night. So
Looking forward to that. All right, let's talk team that shares the building with the Grizzlies. The Memphis Tigers basketball team starting their season with a win over Mizzou. Now, if we want to roll this tape real quick. First half was really ugly and kind of worrisome, to be honest, because they had zero flow offensively, although this was the first basket of the season. Admittedly, pretty sick first basket of the season, alley-oop to Nick Jordan. But then Mizzou kind of got a lot of what they wanted offensively. Memphis was turning the ball over a ton, down 10 at halftime. And it looks, all right, like, what are we getting into here? But I think the second half was awesome. They started hitting their shots, but more importantly, they were getting after it defensively. They were forcing turnovers, and that allowed them to get easy looks at the open floor, like this right here from Tyrese Hunter. And I think we found out pretty quickly, too, that P.J. Haggerty, who was the AAC Freshman of the Year last year at Tulsa, he looked every bit like the go-to guy you could count on late in games. And he scored 25 in this game, which led all scorers, but it was this. I mean, he was just getting to the rim at will, got to the free throw line a ton. So Memphis starts the season with a 9-point win over Mizzou. Let's hear from Penny Hardaway just on kind of the identity that he's looking for and got in the second half.
Yeah, it's definitely what I was talking about when we went out in the after the season was over, the way that it ended, to go out and try to get toughness and defense. Guys that we knew that we could put in positions to win ball games on the defensive end and not worry about if the ball goes in or not. And that's who we want to be. And I'm getting back to my identity.
All right, so now, and I agree with what a lot of Penny said. You know, last season's team was certainly, I think, more talented, and he's admitted that. But this year's team, if they can play the way they did the second half every night, which is going to require a lot of energy, and he didn't play that many guys. They also did lose Tyreek Smith to the transfer portal 5 hours before the season started, so that was someone that was going to play a good amount of minutes. So they're a little bit thin right now by the looks of it, but they do have open spots, and they can get someone in the portal. We saw that last year when they added Naquan Tomlin. I imagine Petty's going to go hunting again this year. But, yeah, I think the second half was really encouraging just because I didn't see. There were very few spurts last year where the Memphis basketball team played defense at that level. So that was fun. They go to UNLV.
I've got the schedule for
got
the
a schedule for
Tigers
this,
as
too.
well,
Let's do it.
Yeah. UNLV. We got Ohio,
Yep,
San
that's
Francisco, UConn, and
Now,
Arkansas
UConn is part of the
State.
Maui Classic, so there are probably going to be more games mixed in there, but,
Right.
man, that's going to be a good test. Kind of got a couple of – now, UNLV beat Alabama State, who is they're coached by Memphis native Tony Madlock. They beat them earlier in the week, 93-79 at home. So, Tigers go to there tomorrow. It's a 5 o'clock tip. Looking forward to that. But, yeah, Maui's going to be the first real barometer, I think, of where this team is and how they're coming together. Because Mizzou – it's an SEC team. They also went 0-18 in SEC play last year. So, TBD on how good they are. But, yeah, good. It's nice to start the season with a win. Because if the first half would have carried over the entire way, the offense looked that bad, then it's going to get kind of noisy kind of quick. But you win. You do everything you need defensively. Cool. Good start for Memphis. All right. NFL Week 10. We talking trades? Because there were some trades. The deadline was on Tuesday. Wasn't anything crazy.
It's interesting because I think the main thing this year was just kind of swapping wide receivers for picks.
Yeah.
Seemed to be kind of the theme. It was interesting to see the value that certain guys got over another. I know like the Cowboys are getting pretty clowned for
Jonathan
trading a
Mingo.
fourth for Jonathan Mingo, who's
Ole Miss
really
alum.
not been good.
Yeah, he is not.
But yeah, I mean,
Biggest move on
know.
Tuesday was the Saints trading Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders. I like that move for Washington.
I love that move.
7-2. Their secondary has been kind of buns for a while, so to get a proven guy who's played the position at a high level, you gave him a third-round pick, so you gave up something of value. But if they could go on a run in what is, frankly, outside of the Detroit Lions, I think the NFC is pretty wide open this year. So if they could put themselves in position to go on a run, I'm all for that, for sure.
They've definitely looked good enough that you got to respect their odds of winning the East at this point.
Yeah.
I know Philadelphia has been kind of up and down, but they've looked
They're
a
playing
little bit
pretty
better
well right
recently.
now. Yeah. In spite of Nick Sirianni, it must be said.
But yeah, I like what Washington's doing. I like the Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin connection. So.
Yeah. Jaden Daniels has been awesome. And really, if you think about it, they're 7-1 since week one. They lost to the Buccaneers pretty handily week one, and their only loss since then is to the Baltimore Ravens. Speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, they won to start out Week 10 last night. Man, first half of that game was okay. It wasn't anything special. Second half of that game, man, Lamar and Joe Burrow put on a show. Ravens win 35-34. Bengals, I'm curious your thoughts on this. Bengals score what could have been the game-tying touchdown in the final minute. They go for 2, which I like that move because that defense was not stopping the Ravens' offense for anything.
I think that's the right call. I mean,
the
Bengals are kind of in a little bit of a desperate spot because they're 4-6 now. That's a game they really needed to win.
Yeah.
They're pretty much probably out of the running for that division at this point. They're going to be hoping for a wild card.
Yeah.
So, trying to steal a win from the Ravens on the road, I like that.
Listen to some of these stat lines. Joe Burrow last night, 428 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 34 of 56 throwing the ball. I think he threw the ball 29 times in the first half. Jamar Chase.
Unreal.
God bless if you face him in fantasy this week. Good for you if you have him in fantasy. 11 catches, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns. Fun fact, none of those are career highs for him in the game.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't know what you think. I think Jamar Chase at this point has firmly entrenched himself as the second best wide receiver in the NFL. Behind his college teammate, Justin Jefferson, who is absurd to think about the fact that those two were on the same team in college 5 years ago.
Yeah, I would agree. I would put Chase number 2 as well. He's that LSU 2019 team was just outrageous.
And then Lamar last night, 25 of 33, 290 yards passing, 33 running. I think he's a little banged up. He didn't take off quite as much as he usually does, although he almost had the run of the year from a quarterback at least. I think he traveled 58 yards total, just looped around, got to the edge from pass rushers. I'm sitting there, I'm like, throw it away. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, he might score a touchdown in this play. Got stopped at the 1, which set up a Derrick Henry touchdown. But, yeah, man, tough for the Bengals because that was a game where everything was going their way until Chase Brown fumbled in the third quarter, and then the Ravens captured that momentum and never gave it back. They moved to 7-3. I said, man, I was talking to a couple friends last night. If he stays healthy, I think Lamar Jackson is probably going to win his 3rd MVP this year before he turns
got to be the favorite right now.
28 years old.
Yeah.
At that point, I understand in terms of putting yourself in position with the all-time greats, there has to be more playoff success in the conversation. I'll tell you right now, if Lamar Jackson wins his 3rd MVP before he turns 28 years old, he can retire after the season, and he is moonwalking into the Hall of Fame. He's probably in the Hall of Fame already right now.
I think he is already.
Yeah. But you win 3 before 28? Nah, there's no question.
I saw an interesting comparison maybe last night. Somebody said, the Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes are the modern Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. As far as career arcs, Lamar's had a lot. Lamar's winning the MVPs. He's not a lot of success, and Mahomes just wins everything.
I think that it's interesting to think about how we compare what I think are the other big 3 quarterbacks in the AFC to Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. And really, because Burrow, I think, probably is, and this is no disrespect, I think he's the worst of the 4 of them, which is, again, Burrow's an elite quarterback, but he's probably the worst of the 4 of them, but he's also the one that's had the most head-to-head success against Mahomes. And then Lamar is, keep in mind, if Lamar wins MVP this year, he has more regular season MVPs than Mahomes. He just has 3 less Super Bowl wins and Super Bowl MVPs. Pat's got everything. I mean, Pat is on a GOAT trajectory. And then Allen is a guy that just can't, I don't think it's necessarily a fault of his own, but Allen is a guy that looks like he should be the one most poised to knock Mahomes off the throne on any given year, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I think I think the Ravens are the biggest threat this year.
Yes,
I just don't know that Buffalo has the talent around Allen right now.
Maybe Amari Cooper apparently has a broken bone in one of his hands that he's going to play through, but I think that was a nice move. I think it is.
Tough.
I think we are, as things stand right now, I think that we are primed for another AFC Championship game rematch between the Chiefs and the Ravens. It's just a matter of, at some point, Lamar's got to do it. Like, at some point, I think that he is too good to not get over the hump one of these years. Must be said, there are two things that can be true. Actually, three things. I don't think Lamar has ever played better than he has right now this season. I think this is the best group of weapons Lamar has had around him. Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers in year 2. Rashad Bateman is finally healthy. He's played well. Trade for Deontay Johnson. Mark Andrews is not a left tackle anymore like he was for the first month of the season. So the offense is sick. I think this is also the worst Ravens defense I can remember in a long time. Like, their secondary is really, really bad. Case in point, what Jamar Chase did to them last night. Now, is Lamar Jackson, the offense, good enough to overcome that in the playoffs? I think probably. But this is not – people think of the Ravens defense one of the best in the league year in and year out. They are not that right now.
Ray Lewis ain't walking through that door.
No, neither is T-Sizzle.
If the AFC Championship game was tomorrow between the two, you think the Ravens would do it this year? You think this would be the year that they take them? Granted, the Chiefs are undefeated, and it still feels like we haven't seen the best of them.
Here's the thing. Last year, I think they could have done it, but they came up with one of the dumbest game plans in an AFC champion or a conference championship game you could ever think of, because the Chiefs last year were very weak against the run. What do the Ravens do in the AFC championship game? They come out and they have Lamar Jackson throw the ball over the field, which clearly he could do. But I've said it since that game. That almost felt like a game where Lamar and Todd Monken and the offense in general, it was like they were trying to prove the narratives wrong. It was like they were trying to prove that Lamar could beat Patrick Mahomes straight up in a game of that magnitude where Lamar is just sitting back and slaying it the entire way. So, thankfully, this year, you have no excuse to not feed Derrick Henry in a game like that. So,
narratives don't matter when you're
No, you know what matters? And you know what dispels all narratives? Winning Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I think that right now, gun to my head, I would say my Super Bowl pick would probably be Lions versus Ravens. But I will never discount Patrick Mahomes anytime, but especially not in January. So, but I think those are the two favorites in the AFC right now. Quick gander at the schedule, and then we'll get into trivia for good games this week. 49ers Buccaneers could be a little interesting. And man, Buccaneers came really close to knocking off the Chiefs the other night. Steelers Commanders, I mean, not sure a lot of people would have picked that at the start of the season, but that all of a sudden becomes a pretty intriguing game. I don't know if Eagles-Cowboys is that much fun, really, especially with Cooper Rush playing quarterback. By the way, all the Cowboys fans, I know what's going to happen. Cooper Rush is not better than Dak Prescott. I know that you guys love to complain about Dak. Do not go down this road at any point over the next however many weeks, because it sounds like Dak's going to be out for a while. They said that man's hamstring is off the bone.
Yeah, their season is probably toast
cooked.
at this point.
They're
It was
cooked.
probably toast even if he wasn't hurt, but
Sunday Night Football right here on Action 5 is going to be a lot of fun. Lions versus Texans. TBD if Nico Collins plays for Houston.
I sure hope he plays.
Yeah, I hope he does too.
Houston's looked really kind of lost without him as well, especially with Diggs out now too.
Their offensive line
has not looked good.
Their offensive line is really bad.
Offensive line is
Their
very
offensive
bad.
line is problematically bad. They are 4-0 at home this year, so we'll see. They also just lost. They have had kind of the mini bye because they lost to my Jets last Thursday night. But yeah, the Lions did add. Lions made a deadline move too. They added Packer legend Zadarius Smith. He's not going to replace Aiden Hutchinson. You can't do that, but certainly bolster them a little bit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. If Houston gets Nico Collins back, that's going to be a big, big boost because, hey, I said it at the start of the year, and we'll see if it comes to fruition or not with how many games he has left. But I said I thought he was a top 10 receiver in the league, and certainly he was playing like it before he got hurt.
He was the best wide receiver in the league before he got hurt.
Yeah.
He was on the trajectory he was on was insane.
Yeah, he's a sick player.
I would even go as far as to say he's probably a top 5 receiver ever.
I had this thought the other day because I think if you told me gun to my head, rank top 5, I think I would probably say Jefferson, Chase. I still think I'm putting CeeDee Lamb up there. Blank down on one. Jefferson, Chase. Who am I blanking out on? Would you put Tyreek in there still? I'm not sure. That's probably an interesting enough question. Why am I blanking out? I said Lamb. But yeah, I think
St. Brown.
I think Amon-Ra's a little too slot heavy for. He's a good player though, really good player. You know, I think it came down to, I forgot. I think I might have said Tyreek, and then like 5 for me came down to like AJ Brown, Nico Collins.
Oh yeah, AJ Brown's been.
AJ Brown's sick. AJ Brown, when he's been on the field this year has been awesome. So yeah, that is Sunday Night Football, and then Monday Night Football is Dolphins versus Rams in LA. So that could be a low-key, pretty fun, high-scoring game as well.
Assuming the Dolphins' offense can get back to where they should be.
Yeah, that game is tied for the highest total this weekend with 49ers Buccaneers. So they're expecting some fireworks.
Both of those make sense.
All right, man. Let's finish this off with some trivia. I think I've done pretty well fighting through my flu game. It's not a flu game. I just got a cold, but I'm sure you can tell I'm not feeling perfectly well. But all right, let's get some trivia going.
All right, so I loaded up a little quick on time today. So I loaded up a Sporkle. I think that we can clear.
Okay.
It is name every player with 130 or more RBIs in a season since 2000.
Okay, I think I could definitely get down with this.
I think we'll be able to clear this.
Can we get this up on the screen for the people as well?
Yeah, I'll. So if you can't read the screen, it's got the years and the teams next to it as well. So I'll let you hit start, and we can list off some names starting? Whenever you're ready.
Am I typing two or you? Is it me?
Yeah, you type.
All right, let's go.
I'll let you handle it.
All right, 2001 Cubs, that would be one Sammy Sosa. That is 2 of them. 2007 Yankees, that would be one Alex Rodriguez.
He's on there.
2004 Orioles, I believe, will be Miguel Tejada. It is. 2006 Phillies will be Ryan Howard. 2005 Red Sox, we could go Big Papi. I think Manny Ramirez will probably be on here too. But we'll go down the list in order.
Is that Larry Walker? 2000 Rockies?
That's Todd Helton.
Oh, Helton.
It is Todd Helton. Go Vols. 2003 Blue Jays will be Carlos Delgado.
Mariners. 2000 would be Griffey, right?
I think it would be Griffey.
Or Edgar.
No.
Is it Edgar?
It is Edgar Martinez. The 2024 Yankees will be one Aaron Judge. He's on there twice.
144 is crazy.
05 Red Sox will be one Manny Ramirez. Yep. 2000 Royals is good. Is that Beltran?
Oh.
Mike Sweeney.
Sweet. Oh, good pull.
Mike Sweeney. 05 Rangers.
Is that going to be Canerco? I don't know if
05
Canerco ever had 144.
Rangers, though. Not White Sox.
White Sox
I
was looking. Okay. I was looking at the next one.
It's not A-Rod. Would it be Alfonso Soriano?
It's got to be Soriano.
No.
Right? No?
Palmeiro was off the team that year.
It's not Teixeira, is it? Would that be too early
that
for
could
him?
be. Yeah, great call.
Okay.
2000 White Sox, I believe it's Frank Thomas.
Yeah, that's not going to be Canerco.
01 Diamondbacks, Luis Gonzalez. One of 57 home runs that year.
Insane season.
Yep. 01 Mariners, would that be Brett Boone? It would be. Man, 01 Mariners are so good.
We got a free Juan Gonzalez for that.
Yep, we did.
Answer as well.
09 Brewers, I believe, will be Prince. It is. I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Braun's on here at some point. 03 Rockies.
That's got to be Walker, right?
No, we already put Walker in.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, who? A third hitter.
Wow. No, he was gone by then. Vinny Castillo.
Oh, it's got to be, right?
He was in there.
Oh, he was 04 Rockies.
04 Rockies. Wow, okay.
03 Rockies.
All right, we'll come back to that one. 12 Tigers, I believe,
Cabrera.
will be Miggy. Yep, we got a couple Miggies. 2023 Braves will be Ronald. Or will it be Matt Olson?
Oh, that's Olson, yeah.
Yep. 07 Tigers would be Maglio Ordonez. How about it?
Boom. 02 White Sox as well.
2013 Orioles will be Chris Davis. Yep. 01 Giants, I think we know it's Barry. 2008 will be Jason Giambi. 07 Rockies, guys got to be Matt Holliday.
Yes.
06 Cardinals, we're going to go Albert.
Albert.
Goat on there 3 times. 06 Astros, we're going Berkman. Yep. 2016 Rockies. Whoa.
Is that Nolan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yep. Wow, Nolan
He's on
3
there 3
times.
times.
He did it 3 years in a row. 2000 Astros. Jeff Bagwell.
Yep.
Yep. On there a couple
Twice.
times. 2003 Braves. Hey, Javi Lopez. No. I mean, he had a monster
Chipper?
year. Yeah, I'm going to go Chipper now. No.
No. Oh, Andrew Jones. No?
No. Gary Sheffield? Yes.
Wow. Okay.
2017 Marlins, got to be Giancarlo.
Obviously.
22 Mets would that be Pete?
Alonzo?
Yep. 03 Phils. Bobby Abreu? Pat Burrell.
Pat Burrell.
No.
Wow, no.
No Pat.
Wouldn't be Utley, right?
No, I think he was. I mean, if we put it in, but I think Utley came after that. Wow, interesting. Okay, let's circle back to that. 08 Rangers will be Josh Hamilton. 06 Twins will be Justin Morneau.
Yep.
18 Red Sox, would that be Mookie Betts? No. Devers? 08 Red Sox won the World. 18 Red Sox won the World Series.
Was that J.D. Martinez?
That might be a great call. It is. Phenomenal call. 24 Dodgers. It's got to be Shohei, right? Yep.
Yep.
Down to 2. A player on the 03 Rockies and the 03 Phillies.
Both same year is interesting.
Andres
Who's
Galarraga
that?
wasn't still in the Rockies, was he?
I think one G in his name, but yeah.
I might be spelling his name. Let me see if I can spell his name right.
I'm kind of lost on both of these.
No, it's not Galarraga.
Oh,
It's not Bobby Abreu. It's not Pat Burrell for the 03 Phillies. Man, this is tough.
Roland was on the Cardinals.
Roland
in
got
03,
traded to the
right?
Cardinals in 02. I remember that very clearly, so it wasn't him. Okay, we got to get out of here, so I'm going to pull the plug. 58 out of 60 is pretty good. Let's get the sponsored content out of here, although I know you got to pay the bills.
We'll wait on the sponsored content real quick.
I am really curious who this is.
I think the Phillies is bothering me
Because the
more.
thing is, we got the 04 Rockies in Vinny Castilla,
Yeah.
but apparently that was not the 03 Rockies. Hey, 58 out of 60 is an A+, though.
I did
Preston
think we were gonna
Wilson and Jim Thome. Okay, Jim Thome we probably should have got. Preston Wilson is a wild
Preston
one.
Wilson is crazy.
Preston Wilson is nuts.
How many did he have?
141.
What a season.
'Cause I think it hit with
Shout
the
out
Marlins.
Preston Wilson.
Jim Thome is wild. Jim Thome we should have got. Preston Wilson's nuts, though.
That's a crazy
I was never
answer.
getting that one.
Okay.
All right. Our cue to wrap up has come. For Jacob Gallant, I'm Matt Enfield. Thank you so much for watching us. Remember, Friday Football Fever coming up tonight at 10 on Action News 5. We will have a ton of sports content for you for a busy weekend on the gridiron and the hardwood. Stick with us on Action News 5 and all of our digital channels.